Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the Newt Tube for another afternoon of wine stories. Today, we're going to talk about Pinot Noir and Glacier Ridge Vineyards. And we have the 2017 Pinot Noir from Glacier Ridge to taste. And our special guest is Tony Damiani, owner and grower extraordinary.
Hi, everyone.
So,
Hi, Tony.
Tony, how are things going at Glacier Ridge?
Things look beautiful this year. So far, it's like knock on wood. It's not even summer yet, right? Technically. But I was just John Wilkes was here the other day, and I walked around with him a little bit, and Dave Orzel from CPS, and nobody can find any disease of any kind anywhere. So we're all very happy.
Excellent.
We just changed ourselves, of course. Sounds like a dog. I know that drill. Yeah, it's looking really good. The weather's been really nice. It's pretty dry. The humidity's pretty low. The vines are doing really well. I mean, there was that frost when was that? In May, I guess, really late, but luckily our buds weren't out yet. So we were spared the hit that a lot of the hybrids took, the native grapes that were already out. So things are looking really nice. So hopefully it'll be an uneventful year.
Boy, that'd be nice.
Because I think this year, 17 was, I remember that was like in July, we had like 3 or 4 weeks of rain that was like just unending. It was like monsoon. Then we recovered. Had a nice fall, right?
That was a good fall. I mean, I think it's why Pinot, the story at the 17 Pinot, which is a beautiful wine, but Pinot Noir is a finicky grape. And all that rain in July meant that there was a bit of sorting that had to be done just to, there's only so much you can do when it rains that much and that frequently.
Yeah.
Well, it tastes great. When I taste this wine, I would not think of it enduring weeks on end of rain because it's kind of clean and fruit-driven, beautiful raspberry and cherry characters.
It has that starting to come into that classic sort of Glacier Ridge smokiness on the nose. But yeah. The Pinot Noirs from Glacier Ridge, like every time we make them, it's just they're so distinctive and distinctive within, I would say, the Finger Lakes as well. They really stand out for how striking and pure an expression of Pinot Noir they are. I think so often we think of Pinot in the Finger Lakes as leaning a little more into like the strawberry side of red fruit, kind of strawberries and cream. And the Glacier Ridge stuff is just, black cap and earthy, mushroomy, and just beautiful.
And really, I mean, it's a very structured wine too. I mean, it's perhaps not as dark as some of our like Pinot Noirs we would see from a lot of warmer climates, but that's not to say that there's not a lot of fruit, body, and a decent amount of tannins in there as well.
I was actually just going to agree with Meg. That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Is this from the lower block?
Yeah, this is from the older Pinot. I think. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think we were getting anything out of the newer block at that point.
Looks like maybe there looked like there might have been a little bit from the new block, but a couple 100 pounds.
Yeah, a little.
Yeah, and that old block was planted in
6.
Okay.
2006. Yeah.
So. It's a mix of clones, as I recall.
Yeah, 4 clones. Can't remember them all. 115, 667, 777. And something else, which is lost to time.
Well, they certainly work well in the glass together.
Yeah, they do. Do you guys do anything different with these, with a Pinot than say a Merlot in terms of your creative process?
Yeah. I don't think there's anything terribly different. I mean, if anything, it would really be about barrels that we use after fermentation that would kind of set that apart from Merlot. But it comes in, it's lightly crushed. We keep in most of the stems with that, fermented that way. Stays on skins and stems for quite some time post fermentation. Before we basket press it off and barrel it down, and then really, it stays in barrel just about as long as the Merlot does. So it's really about, I think, the oak choices. And then we've also, since we started getting in some larger format barrels, the Pinot Noir responds really well to some of the larger formats as well.
It's when we're talking about Pinot Noir in the tasting room, people are often surprised to find out that we actually make one. And the bigger surprise is that it's actually a single vineyard Pinot Noir, because it's tough for them to wrap their head around that in the Finger Lakes region. But, Kelby and I have been referring to the Glacier Ridge Pinot Noir as the best hidden secret in all of the Finger Lakes. Because, for a while there, we didn't make it every year, but when we make it, it's beautiful. And it's such a pleasure to have. And it really does stand up and stand out against a lot of the other Pinot Noirs from the region.
Mm-hmm. And it is a very...
Go ahead. I was just going to say, it's like you said, it's a finicky grape, so it's certainly the hardest to, get into the sweet zone of being happy. I think the clusters being so tight make it so susceptible to disease. That is the constant fight with Pinot and creates all the angst with vineyard people that it just isn't like a Cab Franc where you can look at the bunches and they're loose and you can spray them and you're happy. It's like, what's inside that bunch that's going to come out and like an alien?
We like being a little provocative with this wine, and when we have industry professionals tasting with us, we'll actually taste this after things like our other Cab Franc or the Glacier Cab Franc or even the Glacier Syrah, because there's something about the Pinot from this site that is just, maybe we commented on the structure, and especially as a young wine, like it's really still, it's beautiful, but it's relatively rough hewn. Like, the idea with reds is that you taste in ascending order of tannin, I guess. And people are used to Pinot Noir being the first thing that comes at them in a red tasting. So to throw it in number 4 or 5, raises quite a few eyebrows.
Tony, do you typically use different clones in the same block of grapes?
Yeah, I usually try to at least have 2 clones. Obviously everything we do is fairly small. We're not, Falcon Crest here. But yeah, and everything I hear is, I've heard that winemakers like different clones for Pinot, so I was just trying to make the winemakers happy.
We're pretty easy to keep happy.
Yeah, but I split, even in the new vineyard, I got 2 Merlot clones and 2 Cab Franc clones, although I don't know how much it matters, but they don't seem any different in terms of ripening time. Sometimes that's the biggest challenge. If some are a little like longer ripening, that's a pain, but I tried to get them within the same sort of windows of, the ripening time.
Yeah, this whole clonal selection is really, it's kind of interesting and kind of, it's a little bit of an enigma. Certainly people have been experimenting with clones for many years.
Yeah.
But it still comes down to what clone does best on your particular site. And to know that, you have to plant it, you have to grow it long enough to get wine out of it, and you have to make the wine. So it's a kind of a long cycle, learning cycle of 5 or 6 years before you can get your first answer of how the clone does. So the approach of planting a bunch of different clones at the outset and then over the next generation or 2 figuring it out is probably the right approach.
Yeah, well, I kind of went with the same ones that were in the older block, really. All 3 of them were in the older block, and I know it's a different soil up there, but it's still in the same ballpark is what I was hoping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it seems to be working well. That and the bird nets. The bird nets make a heck of a
Yes.
difference for many
Definitely.
reasons.
For some reason, Pinot Noir, if you don't net it, you don't get it.
Are you getting paid by the net company here?
Yeah, yeah.
What, you just turned
Really,
that.
the birds just love Pinot. I don't know what it is. They love that finicky grape, but if you don't put netting over the Pinot, it's just like you guys would be getting a whole bunch of mush.
Yeah.
Yeah, birds and all kinds of critters. They all know when the grapes are ripe, and they generally like them just a couple days less ripe than we like them.
I think they start sampling earlier, but yeah, they have to develop their palate.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, still green. Still green. Yeah.
Yep. Gotta wait, guys. Gotta wait.
Wow, this is a beautiful wine. Thanks for growing this for us.
Well, thanks for making it.
Yeah,
It's wonderful.
I'm getting hungry. Usually we kind of wrap this up, fantasizing about what we're going to do with what's left over in our bottle. And I can say that even though I've been enjoying it right along here, there's still a fair amount left in my bottle. And I don't know what I'm going to do, but Heather, what do you have planned for the remainder of your bottle tonight?
So I have done a pork tenderloin that's been marinating in a little bit of Hungarian spices. I'm gonna just throw that on the grill and have it with a light potato salad. Something simple.
Mm-hmm. And Tony, what does your in-house chef have planned for this Pinot Noir?
I don't know. I didn't get any menu today. I might be on my own. Which that'll just, you don't want to hear about that. So.
How about you, Kelby?
I've got a couple of really nice veal loin chops that I grabbed when I went up to the city and had a haircut this past weekend. And I've got a recipe for them with kind of browned off in a pan, and then with a hot cherry pepper, like sweet sour sauce. So very like classic Italian American cuisine with some buttered pasta on the side.
Mm. How about you, Megs?
I want to do something that's pretty simple, but something I've always kind of loved with Pinot Noir. It's just going to be like a bed of arugula greens. I think I've got some strawberries I can use. I've got some herb chev that I'm going to kind of crumble on top of that. And I think we've actually got some pomegranate juice that I can make a dressing out of and kind of riff off of something like that. But I guess I want the salad to be a little bit more lower key and the Pinot to be a little bit up here. So, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm going to light a fire in the grill.
Something new and different.
Is that a common theme?
Yeah, or maybe I won't. This might be an inside job, but it's going to involve a nice piece of salmon, just simple with salt and pepper and olive oil, either on the grill or just seared and, kind of crusted in the pan. No, on the grill, because what I also want are some julienne carrots and sliced onions tossed in a little kind of teriyaki-ish kind of marinade sauce put on the grill alongside the salmon. I think that's where I'm at. Yum.
Yep, that sounds great.
So, thanks, Tony, for joining us.
Thank you. Cheers.
Thank you all out there for joining us. Enjoy a bottle of Pinot. By the way, we have about 20 cases of this left. I just checked. And of course, it's here in the tasting room, along with another 4 or 5 dozen of wines, both new, like the 2017, but dating back to around 2009 vintage that we've harvested from our wine library to make available to you all here in person. Grab a glass of wine, sit outside on the deck for the next few weeks, and or order online, and we'll ship it to you free if it's 6 bottles or more. So cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.